Okay, we're holding on the bottom of Daf Ayin Daled Amud Beis by Tan Rabbanan. Tan Rabbanan. So it says in the pasuk, "V'im minchas marcheshes karbanecha." If your carbon is the deep fried variety, soilas bashemen teyasa. It should be flour with oil. And malamed shetuuna matan shemen bekeli. As we said, the first thing you do is you put oil in the keli, and then you put the flour into the oil. And it says, we learn out karbanecha l'gzeira shava, ma'kan matan shemen bekeli. Just like the minchas marcheshes is you put oil in the keli. Aflahalan by the minchas machbas also matan shemen bekeli. Umalahalan. Now by the machbas it says the yitziko belila. The belila is putting the oil in a second time in the flour, and the yitzika is pouring it a third time. So afkan by the minchas marcheshes also yitziko belila. Now we said that when you do the second application of oil, do you put it when it was already made into a challah and broken into pieces, and then you add the oil, or do you do it when it's flour? So we said that's a machlokes. Chalois boilalon. The challahs, you mix them, divrei Rebbe, that's when you mix in the oil. The chacham musailas, and the chacham say you do it when it's still flour. So now the Gemara tells us what the argument is based on. Tan Rabbanan, silas belula, it should be mixed when it's flour. Malamichin iblela silas, that you put the oil in, then put the flour in the keli, then you add more oil when you mix it. Rabbi Aimer chalois bailalan shenemar, because it says in the pasuk chalois belulois bashemen. So there it seems to be you do it when it's already made and broken into pieces. Says the Gemara, v'haloi lachmei toida nema behen chalois. It says by the lachmei toida chalois v'efshel avoilon kishein chalois elasailas. It's impossible to mix them when they're loaves. You could only mix them when they're oil. Now, the Gemara over here doesn't tell us why it's impossible. But later on, the Gemara will say, that we know that by the Taida, there's many loaves, and it's only a revius of shemen. So it's impossible to do it when there are loaves in different loaves. Wouldn't be enough oil. It must be when it's challah. So the Gemara says, and yet we can't knead it. So Ketzad Oisa, rather what do? Noisin shemen b'kli koydem lasiyasan. You put oil in the keli before making it, then v'noisna, you put the flour in, and then v'noisin shemen aleo v'ilala, you put oil on top of it and mix it. V'lasha, you knead it. V'oifa upaisisa, you bake it and you break it into pieces, and then v'noisan aleo shemen, then you put on it oil again, the kaimitz, and you take the kamitza. Now, Rebbe disagrees. Rebbe Aimer chalois bailan, shenemar chalois belulois bashemen. Ketzad oisa, what's the procedure? Noisin shemen bekli koydem lasiyasa. You put oil in first, then v'noisna, then you put the flour in the oil. V'lasha, you knead it. V'oifa, you bake it. V'noisin aleh shemen u'levayna. After baking, you put oil and knead it again. V'noisin aleh shemen u'bayla. and then you put again oil on it, the kaimitz, and you take the kmitza. Now the Rabbanan said that by the lachmei taida, it's impossible to say that you put on the oil when it's chalas. When the Rabbanan said to Rebbe, it's impossible that by the lachmei taida, it means to put the oil on when they're chalas. Mahi, what did he mean by it's impossible? Rabbi Shmuel bar Rabbi Yitzchak says that for 20 of the loaves, there's only a revius of oil for 20 of the loaves. Says the Gemara, Amar Rabbi Shmuel bar Rabbi Yitzchak, revius shemini, that wouldn't be enough for 20 loaves. So it must be that it's inserted when it's flour. That was Rebbe's, that was the Rabbanan's proof. So you see the fact that it says chalas doesn't mean literal. Now, the Mishnah goes on to continue after telling us this machlokes. The Mishnah tells us, remember we said there's a minchas mafeitana, a brand of the mincha which is baked in an oven, and it could either be chalas or rekikin. It could either be 10 loaves or 10 wafers. So says the Gemara, we learned in the Mishnah, hachalois tu'unois belila, the oil is mixed into the chala, or rekikin meshicha, but the wafers, the oil is smeared on the wafers. So now the Gemara tells us how we know this information. Fact-finding mission. Tanarabanan chalois belulois. It says chalois belulois, and we darshin chalois belulois v'loy rekikin, and not wafers. V'loy rekikin belulan. The wafers are not mixed in; it's rather smeared on top of it. Shiyachol, I might think to say an argument. V'aloy dinu u'machal she'ein in tunas meshicha. They don't need smearing. Tunas belila, they need mixing in the oil when you first make it. Rekikin shetunin meshicha, rekikin that need the extra step of smearing, einoi din shetunin belila. So therefore we have the miyat, Talmud Leimer, chalois belulois, only the chalas are needed, v'loi rekikin belulin. Then it says, how do we know that the wafers are anointed, are smeared on top, like the Greek letter chi, like an X we said. Rekikim meshuchin, v'loy chalois meshuchas. It says in the pasuk, rekikim meshuchin, the wafers are smeared, and we dash in v'loy chalois meshuchas, but not the chalas. They're only mixed in. They're not smeared on top. Shiyachol, because again, I might think a kavachaymer. V'alaydinu, omar rekikin shein tun belila. They're not mixed beforehand. Tun and meshicha, they need to be smeared. Chaloy shetunas belila, that they need to be mixed. Einoi din shetunas meshicha. Then afterwards, maybe we should also have to smear them with oil. Tamalaymer rekikin meshuchin. The wafers are anointed v'loy chalas. So the Gemara says, how do you know that each one is an exclusion? My Talmuda, what exactly is the derivative that because it says chalois meshuchas b'sheven excludes the rekikin, and because it says rekikin meshuchas b'sheven excludes the chalas? Maybe we learn out one from the other. Amar Rava, it says many times the chalas and the rekikin. If the chalas need to be anointed also and the rekikim need to be mixed, it should have said that at least one time. It should say it one time. It says them many times, and it always says by the chalas belula and the rekikim meshukais. So it's only it's specific. Says the Gemara, Keitzad Moishchan. How do we smear the wafers? Kimin ki, like the Greek letter chi, I believe it's this 22nd letter, which is an X. V'ashar nechel kahanim, and the rest is eaten by the kahanim. My kimin chi, Rav Kahana kimin chi yavani, like a chi yavani, like the Greek chi. Now, we know that Reb Shimon is of the opinion that you could also bring the mafet tanner half chalas and half rikikin. Now, if you do that, what do you do with the oil? So the Gemara says, Tan Rabbanan, mincha bo mechze chalas and mechze rikikin. That's Reb Shimon Shita, that you could bring 5 chalas and 5 wafers. Maybe loig shemen v'chaytzeh. You bring the loig of oil, you divide it. Chetzia lechalas, half you mix into the chalas. V'chetzia l'rikikin. The chalas bailan, he mixes the oil into the chalas. Or rikikin moishchen, and the wafers he puts it on like a chi, but that doesn't take up a half a lug. Or moishech es a rokik al pnei kulai, he smears it on the entire wafer. Ushar hashemen, and the rest of the oil, because he doesn't need the whole half a lug, marzira lechalas, he returns it back and uses it on the chalas. Shimon ben Yehuda, Mishim Reb Shimon, I mean, no. Moishchen kamin ki, the half a lug of the rikikin, he puts on like an X. Ushar hashemen nechel lekanim, and the rest of the oil is eaten by the kahana. Tani idach, this is about if you make a mincha ma'afatana of 10 wafers. Tani idach, rikikim abam b'fnei atzman, the wafers that come by themselves. Maybe loig shemen, he brings the loig of all. Moishchan, the chayzeru moishchan, he makes it like an X. He makes it again like an X. Ad sheyichla kol shemen shebalot, until he exhausts all the oil. Reb Shimon ben Yehuda, I remember Reb Shimon, no. Moishchan can be key, makes it like the X. Ushar hashemen, and the rest of the oil is nechol lekahanim, is eaten by the kahanim. It's nice to see that we have an oilam on this is a very, very busy Matzah Shabbos. And it's good to see even a Yisachar Zvulun like Marshall is here. I mean, that's, Mark Frankel is keeping our A.B. Spry is back. A.B., when you're not here, we miss you very much. So, let's welcome in everybody. A.B. and Mark and Mo Kushner and Berish Gesem and Berish, we miss you so much. Mel Zachte, Yisrael Fisher, Marshall Castle, Yaakov Warman, Dr. Block, Saba, Irving Fishbaum. How many Shabbos HaGol Drushes, Irving, did you hear from me? Menachem Yemansky, Yitzi Fuchs, what? Thank you. Nachman Chapler, Rebel Yafi, Danny Vogel, Moshe Lehman, Richard Rosensberg, Chaim Braun, Jonathan Gross, nice to have you. Gabriel Epstein, Avram Rezepkutz, Yeshua Shmulaisim, Ilya Shutman, Shimon Klein, Yitzi Muller, Shelley Zeitlin, Rabbi Kranz, and we have David Helfgott here in Shul, holding the fort is Michal Avram Chavin and Ruvain Shannon. New Mishnah, very short Mishnah.
I just wanted to let you know that we made a bris on Wednesday for a great-grandchild.
Mazel tov. What's the name?
Yosef Yisrael.
Yosef Yisrael, the Rosh Tevis Yud Yud, Rosh Tevis of Hashem. Yosef Yisrael, Shemi Zeicha, Kashem Shenichnas a bris, Kain Yikanas a Torah, L'chupa L'maisim Tovim.
I mean, also on Wednesday night, we made an engagement for a granddaughter.
Wow, the cycle of life. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Rebbe, I have a bris mitzvah Hashem for my great-grandson tomorrow.
Tomorrow morning, it should be Zeichel Achnisa L'brisa Shel Avram Avinu B'Zmanai.
What I'm the Sandik.
Huh?
And I'm the Sandik.
That's good. That's a big schooler. It's wonderful. You'll give us all a bracha tomorrow. Says the Gemara, the Mishnah, Kol Menachos Hanasais Bekeli, all menachos that are made in a clay shares, Tu'unas Psisa, needs to be broken up into pieces. Now, what does it mean when it says what's made in a keli? What does that come to exclude, and how we break it into pieces will be the discussion now. When it says all of them made in a keli l'm'ute mai, what does that come to exclude? Amar rapapa l'm'ute shtei alechem v'lechem apanim. it comes to exclude the 2 loaves and the lechem aponim, which are not made in a keli. The shtei lechem and the lechem aponim are not prepared in a clay shares, because the oven that it's baked with is not considered a clay shares. Tan Rabbanan, pasais oisa pitim, you break it into pieces. Mincha. L'rabbis kol menachos, all meal offerings l'psisa, that they're broken up. Says the Gemara, Yochel shani mar ba'af shtei alechem b'lechem aponim, that the 2 loaves of shvuas and the lechem aponim are also broken up. We know they're not. Talmud leima osa. Osa is a miyat. V'yatzakta shemen mincha, and you pour the oil, and it says mincha again. L'rabbis kol hamenachos yitzika. You pour in the oil. Yochel shani marba af minchas mafe. The mincha baked in an oven. Talmud leimer oleha shemen. Oleha is oitzias achalis. It excludes the chalis of the minchas mafe taken. Says Gemara. Well, I might think oitzias achalis. There's 2 types of mafetana. There's the chalis and the rikikin. I might think that the aleh is only oitzias achalis, excludes the chalis, v'loy oitzias rikikin, and it doesn't exclude the wafers. Talmud leimer, it also says in the pasuk he, which is a second miyat. Says the Gemara, how do we know that it's coming to exclude the minchas mafetana? Maybe it's coming to exclude a different mincha. My Talmudah, maybe it's coming to exclude that you don't do yitzika by the minchas kahanim, which is all burnt and it doesn't have a kmitza. Amar Rabba, because it says 2 miyutim, oila and aleha and he. What mincha has 2 parts? That's the minchas mafetana, which has both chalas and rikikin. Amar Rabba, ezo davar shetzorach shnei miyutim, havayim ezu minchas mafe. Now, what's the procedure of breaking them up into pieces? So says the Mishnah, Minchas Yisrael, the Mincha of Yisrael, Koipel Echad L'Shnayim, you fold it 1 into 2, and then Ushnayim La'arba, 2 into 4, Umavdil, and you separate them. Minchas Kahanim, which you don't need to take a kmitza from, it goes straight on the fire. Kaifel echad l'shnayim v'shnayim l'arba. It's folded 1 into 2 and then 2 into the 4. Be'ena mavda. Minchas Kohen Mashiach, the minchas chavitin of the Kohen Gadol, 6 in the morning and 6 in the afternoon every day. Lo yoya mekapla, and the Gemara is going to modify lo yoya mekapla, that they didn't fold it twice. In other words, they didn't fold it into 4, but they did fold it into 2. Reb Shimon Aimer Minchas Kahanim Minchas Kohen Mashiach, where there's no kmitza, ein bahem psisa, it doesn't get broken at all. Mipnei she'ein bahem kmitza, because we don't take a kmitza, we put it straight on the fire. Because she'ein bahem kmitza, ein bahem psisa. The Kulan, and then he also argues, while the Tanakhama says it's broken only into 4, he holds that the Kulan Pais Sin Kizasim. It's broken into small Kizasim. It's broken into small olive-sized pieces. Okay, so now we're going to get a source. Where do we get this idea that you fold it 1 into 2 and then 2 into 4? Where do you get that from? So it says pasas. Make it pieces. Yochel l'shnayim, I might think 2. Talmud leimer pitim, that tells you do 4. I pitim, yochel yasena perurin, I might think you should crumble it entirely. Talmud leimer osa, in other words, osa lepsisim, you only take the whole and make it into pieces. But like psisa lepsisim, you don't crush the pieces. Haketzat. Minchas Yisrael, Koifel Echad L'Shnayim, you fold 1 into 2, Ushnayim La'arba, Umavdil. Minchas Kahanim v'Kayim Mashiach. Now this is going to be tricky because in the Mishnah we said that the mincha of the Chavitan of the Kayim Mashiach we don't fold. Here it says Minchas Kahanim, Minchas Kayim Mashiach are Mekapla, and you don't divide it because there's no kmitza. We said that the Minchas Kayim Mashiach you don't fold that all. Amarabba ain't a Mekapla arba, you don't fold it into 4. But of a mekapel l'shnayim, you do fold it into 2. Now we have Reb Shimon's shita that says that there's no psisa by a mincha that doesn't have a kmitza. Reb Shimon Aimer minchas kahanim and minchas kayim that go straight in the fire. Ein b'hem psisa. They're not broken up. So now the Gemara takes us on a little bit of an aside. Amar of Yosef, Hai chavitza. A cooked dish with bread. Let's say a matzah brai. The ispa perurin kazayas that has pieces the size of a kazayas. You have a matzah brai with big pieces. Mevarchinon aleh ha'moitzi lechem menaretz. You make a bracha of ha'moitzi. Ilespa perurin kazayas. If the pieces are not a kazayas, mevarchinon aleh ha'barim minei mezainis. Rav Yosef mina aminallah. How do I know this? Titania haya oimedu makriv menachos b'Yerushalayim. If you were standing at makriv menachos in Yerushalayim, oimer baruch shechianu v'kimanu v'gyanu lazman hazeh. You're able to do the great mitzvah. Not one la'achlan. Of course, only a male kohen could eat the remainder of a mincha because mincha is kodesh kadashim. It could only be eaten by male kahanim in the azara. Amar hamoitzi lechem in aretz. Now the Tanan we learned in the Mishnah v'kulan psisim b'kazayis. So you see if the pieces are kazayis, you can make hamoitzi lechem in aretz. Amar le'abayo l'tana debei Rabbi Yishmael who disagrees and says you crumble it up entirely. The Amar mefarchan ad shemachziron l'siltan. That you crumble it until it returns back to flour, to meal. Would you say that you don't make hamaitzi? Vatanya, we learned, likit mikulan kizayis. If you gather from the pieces of kizayis, v'achlu, im chametzu anish karas. If it's chametz, it's karas. In matzahu, if it's matzah, adam yaitz b'em yedei chavasa b'peisach. So obviously, even if they're just pieces, if you eat a kazayas, obviously if you yaitzi pesach, then that means you make hamoitzi lechem in aretz, right? Says the Gemara, it's talking about when you remade it into one piece, into a dough. So that's only if he ate the pieces within the time it takes to eat a half a loaf. That's only when it will combine to give you the kazayas. But if he made it into dough, it shouldn't say she'achlan in the plural because it's not pieces, it's one thing. It's talking about where the pieces came from a big loaf. Where the pieces come from a big loaf, so there it still has a din of amaitzi, even if the pieces are less than a kazayas. However, the Gemara tells us that in lahalacha, even a matzah brai where the pieces are smaller than a kazayas, you'd still make amaitzi as long as it didn't lose the appearance of bread. My Avi Allah, what's the maskana? Rav Sheshis Amar Afilu Pirurin She'em Bem Kazayas. Even if the cooked dish, there are pieces of bread that are smaller than a kazayas, you make a maitzi. Amar Rav Avu Diikat Teresa Denamalayu. As long as it has the appearance of bread. Okay, round one is finished. As we will pause a moment to turn over the tape over here.